Olix Network 18, Mission Poshan, Bhavishya Roshan.
But let's move on. On the 19th of May, the Prime Minister had kickstarted work on the strategic Zojila tunnel, which is being constructed by ITNL. Apart from this order, ITNL also has a healthy order book, but the debt continues to be an overhang. K. Ramchand, the MD of IL&FS Transport, joins in now with an outlook on all of that. Mr. Ramchand, thanks so much for that. You know, all we know is that the Prime Minister has laid the stone for this Zojila tunnel. Can you tell us, has construction started there? What kind of revenue contribution are you looking at in year one?
Yeah, actually, the Zojila tunnel is part of the third tunnel that we are constructing on that stretch. You're probably aware that we inaugurated the Chennani-Nashri tunnel last March. We have another one below Sonmarg, which is the Srinagar-Sonmarg, and it's commonly called the Z mode. And this is the third one, which is Zojila. Zojila is actually closed for 6 months of the year, almost from October to March. And since we got the appointed date for Zojila on May 19th, which is on the day that the Prime Minister inaugurated it, we had actually some time before the inauguration to kickstart some of our preliminary design and other activities. What we have done as far as Zojila is concerned is we have actually firmed up our procurement plan, we firmed up our planning and scheduling for the project. We are in the process of setting up our camp, which is, it has to be at a place which is avalanche free, and that's one of the critical areas that we need to make sure that it happens. We're also in talks with petroleum companies because DG sets would be the driver for power on these projects. And I think we are on target as much as we had scheduled it. We should be in a position to complete this project. This year, we are not targeting too much of a revenue from this project because we are not sure that we'll be able to achieve at least 8 to 10%, which is when we actually start booking margins on projects. This is also what we do as far as BOT is concerned, but I'm not sure that, because the initial work that will happen is mostly non-cost heavy items, like getting mud out of the portal and stuff like that, building a new road to access the portals. So while there will be a lot of preparatory work which will get done this year, and we have time only up to October, November, I don't see any revenues coming in from the Zojila project, but we may get a fair amount of liquidity from this project.
Okay, more generally, Mr. Ramchand, how many BOT road projects you have, and what's the extent of traffic growth and revenue growth you're expecting?
Actually, if you look at last year, I think across the sector and including ourselves, we actually clocked about 9 crores a day as revenue from both annuity and toll, which is our portion of the, or our share of the toll and revenue. If you look at the annuity composition, it still continues to be at about 30–35% of the total revenue, balance being on the toll front. We believe that this will continue to grow. We had revenue growth of almost about 8–8.5%, which is contributed both by traffic as well as the toll growth. And we also had traffic growth, which was substantial. And you need to break this up into two parts because, as you get traffic toll plazas operating, you get a jump in traffic and traffic revenues. So if you normalize it for the traffic which was available last year or the tolls that we were collecting last year, we are close to about 8% growth on revenues and on traffic. One surprising number which probably needs to be told is we are actually covering about 5.2 lakh PCUs on a daily basis across our toll plazas, which is a very, very large number to look at. And this, we have 31 road projects, 26 of them are road projects, 5 are non-road projects. Of the 26, 21 are commissioned, 5 are under construction as far as we are concerned currently. Okay. We hived off 2 road projects last year. One is, of course, the 2 Gujarat road projects that we hived off. These were the initial ones on Baroda Halol and Ahmedabad Mehsana. So normalization for that has also been done when I'm saying that toll and revenue is, almost par at about 8–8.5%.
Okay. Mr. Ramchand, nevertheless, your debt has been downgraded. ICRA has, that was the latest that came in. 4,750 crores of debt. I mean, what's happening? Is there a serious problem of repayment?
Actually, what's happened is, if you look at strategically, we've decided that we are not bidding for any BOT projects as such. We are on a path where we want to consolidate what we have on our books, make sure that we're not spending too much money on equity as such, and try and conserve whatever capital we have. That's number one. I think the downgrade was more or less in line with what we also would have expected. One is, of course, that our debt levels went up rather, by about 2,000 crores from what we had anticipated when the year opened. Now, many reasons for this. One is, of course, I think you also know that a lot of banks have stopped, credit facilities to infrastructure projects, and we were also party to that, and therefore had to actually borrow to complete some of the projects that we have on hand. That's number one, and therefore debt went up. Number two, we had predicted some liquidity events. Some of these are with regard to the claims that we have. A large claim on Pune-Sholapur was approved by the arbitration on a 3-0 verdict. As late as February, on the 90th day, the authority, which is NHAI, decided to challenge it, and it's gone to court. So we were actually anticipating about 550 to 600 crores to come from Pune-Sholapur. The second project that we had hopes on, and we had actually predicted that cash flows would come, was Moradabad-Bareilly, where we had gone for the alternate dispute mechanism, which is the conciliation committee set up under the Arbitration Act. We were almost close to getting about 500, 550 crores from that. And unfortunately, that also has had a small setback. I think they want to go to the board of NHAI before they can finally decide. So I think these were two seminal events which took place. One is, of course, the banks almost stopping credit to infrastructure companies. And the second is that the claim realization of 1,100 crores did not come through. I don't think it's not coming. It's actually a delay, as normally what happens in most government projects. And I think it's going to come probably in the first or second quarter. We should see this cash flow coming, and we're expecting the re-rating to happen at that point of time. So, so I think it's I don't see any fundamental effect on the company as such. But
my worry, Mr. Ramchandran,
time when
No, the worry more is that once these things happen now, after the February circular, once you get into an SMA1 or SMA2 status, banks quickly have to mandatorily start restructuring. Are you in any of that phase? That they're forcing you to restructure some of your loans or bring in equity?
We have plans for, one is, of course, like I said, there are few liquidity events that we are looking at. One of them is, of course, that, we are hoping that the claims will come into place. We are looking at some asset sales, which will be the second form of liquidity. And the third is, of course, equity is not the easiest thing to get in today's market. And while we may have plans of raising equity, I don't think it's going to happen in the first 2 or 3 quarters.
Okay.
If it happens, it will depend on how markets perform and how the equity markets perform. But definitely, as far as the other liquidity events are concerned, I think that's very well within our hands. The sale of assets as well as the claim processing that can take place.
Okay.
And these two events should actually put about 3,000-4,000 crores into our pockets and therefore reduce debt.
Sure.
And I think, I think you hinted at it when you started this question. Debt has gone up. We are aware of that. And we are also aware that we need to bring that down if, we need to continue on this fold. Lastly, I don't think we are approaching SME1 or SME2. Right. I think we are still a little way off from that. Okay. If, unless all these liquidity events don't take place, then I think we'll see something happening.
All right, that's good to hear. Thank you very much, Mr. Ramchandran, for joining us with your thoughts this morning.